Yo, what up? It's Carter from the Peekaboo Boxing Academy. And in tonight's video, what I wanted to talk with you about is the #1 mistake that people who are trying to learn the Peekaboo boxing style, otherwise known as the cuss style, online make. All right? And it's something that about 95% of you are actually doing that's causing you to fail miserably. And after tonight's video, I do not want you to make this mistake ever again, all right? You have no excuses after tonight's video to make this mistake again, okay? So before we get into that, for those of you who do not know me, my name's Carter Weber. I train fighters here at Customato's Gym in Catskill, New York, and I was personally mentored on how to teach the cuss style by fighters who actually grew up with Mike Tyson, who were trained by the late, great Customato and the great Teddy Atlas, all right? So this mistake is something that, you know, I used to make myself as somebody who tried to learn the Peekaboo style, the cuss style online. And it's something that, you know, as I've seen people come into the gym as the channel gets more popular and, you know, they come in and they say, hey, I've been practicing, I see the same mistakes again and again and again and again, all right? And what I want to do with you is I want to flesh out this mistake in all the nuance that I can possible so that you do not make it ever again and so that you can avoid the ill fate that so many of the people who want to learn the Peekaboo boxing style make, all right? So, as always, I want you to lock in, take notes. Let's crack into it.
Professional fighter, you gotta learn how to hit and not get hit, at the same time be excited. That's what professional boxing is. You gotta be clever, you gotta be smart, and not get hit. And when you're able to do this, you're a fighter.
All right, so what is this ill-fated mistake that so many fighters make when they try to learn this boxing style? It's prioritizing speed over form, all right? Oh my gosh, it sounds so simple. Well, I'm going to elaborate, and I'm going to actually break down the nuances of this and how I see it affect people. There's many ways, but I'm going to break down the main ones that I see. But, you know, the way that you learn the cuss style, the way that Customato taught his fighters was like this. Form, then speed, then power, okay? If you prioritize one over the other, you're going to be on shaky legs, okay? You're not going to have a solid foundation, all right? Now, of course, you know, there's plenty of boxing gyms out there that just throw their fighters into the ring. They build their toughness, right? A lot of their form goes out the window. And maybe because of their toughness, they overwhelm and intimidate a lot of their opponents. Maybe they got some wins under their belt. You know, they think they're real good. But the moment that you go and fight an experienced fighter, somebody who's calm, somebody who does have good form, he's going to capitalize on those mistakes, all right? Those bad habits that you've been forming, okay? And you do not want this to be you, okay? So again, form, speed, power, okay? We got to lay the foundation first, all right? So in the cuss style, all right, it's more, you know, like a martial art in that cuss derived it from karate, okay? So what I see a lot of Peekaboo boxers do, people that are trying to emulate Mike Tyson, is, well, their first mistake is they're trying to emulate Mike Tyson. No, what you want to do is you want to learn the blueprint of the cuss style and then fight to your strengths, all right? And I show you how to do that on the channel. There's much more to come, much more that I haven't unveiled yet that I'm going to get into in later videos. But you already have a solid foundation here on the channel that you can go learn from. You can go learn the beginning steps of the blueprint, all right? So what I see a lot of fighters do who try to emulate Mike Tyson is they're coming in the ring like this. Okay, they're coming in like this. They're just, you know, walking out. They're walking in like this with their hands up, like their mic, right? But what happens time and time again is they're never in the right place at the right time. They can't land their punches. They can't throw combination punches. They can't punch off their movement. They're constantly getting tagged up. They're constantly getting lit up, all right? And here's the reason why. In the cuss style, we fight more square. Okay, we're in a more square stance. In traditional boxing styles, right, you're more bladed, okay? You're trying to make yourself, you know, not this big square target, but this skinnier target so that, you know, you aren't getting hit as much, all right? But Customato, he had a different approach, and he actually, you know, he developed some of this from karate, but really he got the idea first by watching Slapsy, Maxie, Rosenblum, all right? And he was a fighter in the 20s, I believe, the 20s or the 30s. I can't remember exactly which, all right? And he was a fighter who, you know, unfortunately there's no film of, but he was apparently incredible at not getting hit because he would just stand right in front of guys and they just could not hit him. I believe he had almost 200 fights, maybe even more than that. All right, but the thing is they called him Slapsy because he just hit like this. You know, he had no power behind his shots. So Cuss tweaked some things, right? Again, he borrowed some things from karate later down the line in the version of the Cuss style, you know, as we call it at the gym, that he taught to Mike Tyson and the fighters that were here back in the 80s, right? He taught it a little bit different than how he taught it to Jose Torres or to Floyd Patterson, right? That was an earlier, more, you know, crude version of the style. It evolved over time, all right? And Cuss tweak things. But the idea was that you're square, okay? Because when you're bladed, you can still slip punches, but you're more defense-oriented. In the Cuss style, we treat offense and defense as equals, okay? They're best friends, all right? They don't go without each other, all right? It's 50-50. It's not one or the other, okay? So you make them miss, make them pay. Make them miss, make them pay, all right? So the idea is that you want to be square, okay? That's the idea. And the reason is because when you're square like this, you can slip punches outside the shoulder and you can be in punching position, right? In most boxing styles, right, they just slip like this. Maybe you're going to miss one punch with that. In the Cuss style, you can miss a left and a right? You slip far enough outside that shoulder, and then boom, you can rip a solid punch. Slip far enough outside that shoulder, boom, you can rip a solid punch. All right, so you have to be square. Now, what's the problem? All the people online that are prioritizing speed over form because they watch Mike Tyson, who is literally a piece of fast twitch muscle fiber with a brain, right? This guy's a freak, a genetic freak of nature with God-given talent to move that fast at that weight, right? They see Mike moving at this frenetic pace, and then they try to copy that, but guess what? That doesn't work because you didn't learn the things that Mike learned. You didn't learn how to make yourself elusive, okay? It's great to be a square target when you're extremely elusive and people can't lay a glove on you, and your defense sets up your offense, all right? If you can meet those criteria, it's a great time to be a Cuss-style fighter, all right? Problem is most of the people emulating Mike, they're trying to go a million miles an hour, doing these drills without the years and years and years and years of practice that it takes to actually get good at them, that it actually takes to build up the elusiveness. And, you know, they're this big square target, but they're constantly getting tagged up. They're constantly getting lit up because they don't know how to properly move and be elusive, all right? So, the first thing that you want to avoid, okay, the first thing that you want to avoid is just going like this, all right? You don't want to have your hands bouncing up and down like this. You don't want to kind of be like this, like this. That's not how Cuss D'Amato taught. Again, it's more like a martial art, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to square up, and I cover the stance in other videos, but you're square, and you want to put your chin on your chest and just look up. So all you see is this. You don't need to see my face. You just need to see this. And when you get calm enough, you can see every little twitch of the muscle like you're in slow motion, and you can make me miss a lot easier, okay? You don't need to see my face, okay? But you need to keep your chin down because you're a square target, so you can't afford to make mistakes, all right? So the idea is that, you know, if my chin's up here and my hands are up most of the time, I'm going to get caught in the exchanges, boom, in that 1/10 of a second, and that's not going to be good. So the idea is that you always want to be protected, right? We don't want to make ourselves vulnerable because boxing, it's all about these, you know, 1/10 of a second moments where somebody catches you in an exchange, right? So what, you know, Cuss said is, hey, forget about that. Keep your chin tucked the whole time. Rest your chin on your chest as such, okay? And then you're just going to look up, okay, while you're protected. So it's more like this. I'm facing you. I'm right here. My chin's down. My eyes are up. And I'm more like this. Again, more like a martial art, all right? I don't want to be here like this. I want to be here like this. Elbows tucked in, chin tucked, facing forward, all right? When I'm like this, I'm protected, all right? And you want to practice like that because what I tell the guys that I train is, listen, if you start with your hands out here, when you get real tired, hands are going to be out here. So if anything, start with your hands actually physically on your face. Keep them there the whole time, and then if you get super tired, maybe at the worst, they just come off a little bit. But you don't want to train, you know, and try to look like Mike, just keeping your hands out, all right? Again, he didn't practice that way, right? He developed into that, but he didn't practice that way. So you want to keep that in mind, okay? So you're going to be square, but you're going to keep your chin down and your eyes up, all right? And you're going to keep your hands actually tucked on your face and your elbows actually tucked on your ribs, okay? Now, past that, I want you to build a quiet confidence through repetition of certain movements that we cover here on the channel, okay? And these are moves, they called them the moves, and Cuss had his fighters do them every day. I haven't revealed all the moves yet. I've revealed some of the basic ones, but these are ones that you can practice right now, tonight, you know, during your next training session. And the idea is that through constant repetition, when you actually get in the ring and it's time to spar, you don't have to think anymore, right? The hard part's over. You already put your body through the constant monotonous repetition, the hard work, and now it starts to get ingrained in your nervous system, okay? So things like, you know, moving forward, backwards with your footwork, things like, you know, slipping punches, things like getting to the side, you start to ingrain that in yourself so you don't have to think anymore, because in boxing you can't think. It's all about flow, all right? So we got to let the body do most of the work instead of the brain, all right? We got to act off of instinct instead of trying to calculate, all right? So do the moves every single day. Instead of trying to do all this advanced stuff that you see Mike Tyson do, where you're moving 1,000,000 miles an hour, and then as a result, you're getting lit up when you try to spar because you didn't practice like he practiced for years and years and years in the quiet solitude of the Catskill gym, you know? So do that. Practice those moves every single day. And again, practice the way that I show you on the channel. Don't try to just emulate Mike and his speed and all that, okay? So you got to do that. You got to make sure that you're like that. The other thing, and this comes from people trying to emulate Mike once more, they're too bladed, all right? Their foot is back. Mike had his foot back. Cuss, a lot of his fighters were pretty much completely square, all right? I tweak it. It's a little, I bring my foot a little bit back, okay? And I was taught that by some of the guys that mentored me, to bring that foot a little bit back. And that most of the fighters here, they brought the foot a little bit back anyway, almost all of them, okay? They didn't keep, you know, their feet completely square. But other guys, they take it the opposite direction. People that are trying to learn the style online, they take it the opposite direction, and they're bladed. Their foot is all the way, you know, is all the way back behind them, and they're too bladed to where they can't effectively punch off their movement. Again, you want to square up to your target so that when you slip, you're in position. So that when you slip, you're in position. If you're too bladed, right, when I go to slip, I'm not in position, right? If your stance is all jacked up, like so many people that try to emulate Mike, you're not going to be in position, okay? So, real simple. Prioritize form and repetition and doing things using the, you know, Customato blueprint rather than, you know, trying to emulate Mike Tyson. If you can do this, you're going to save yourself so much time, so much hurt, so much pain, and you're going to actually, you know, start making people miss. You're going to actually start being able to be effective in there, okay? And that's what I want for you, all right? So, real simple, to the point. Make sure you were paying attention, and make sure that you were taking notes, okay? Because I don't want you to be like all the other people that are just trying to mimic Mike instead of actually practicing the way that they need to practice to be successful at this style, okay? So thank you so much for being here tonight. As always, I will see you in the next video.